Rethink Carbon. This is us, our team. You can see Mark there as well on the call. So Mark, Freddie, Tessa and myself and our co-founder Zoe will all be here on the session today. And we're a climate tech startup. We've been going for a couple of years after a really successful start with, with CivTech. And then we got funding to take our platform to the next level, and we've had a commercial platform on the market since about March this year. And our platform is now broader than it's been before. So if you've been to one of our demos before, we've got way more features, and we're listening to all our pilot users, all our customers in terms of what we can add that will really drive rethinking land to maximize commercial, nature, climate and community benefits. And our mission is to make sure that every land manager, so we want to hear from all of you, your involvement in land and how we can support you, regardless of experience and location, to make informed land use decisions. So the ground truthing is a really key feature that we've added, that we've had customers asking for. So we're really pleased to be able to show that and demonstrate it today. So Freddie, over to you.
Brilliant. Yeah, thank you, Philip. So yeah, I'm Freddie, head of product at Rethink Carbon. So today I'm going to give you a demonstration of the Rethink platform for about 10-15 minutes. Then I'll hand over to Mark, who's going to do a bit of more of a live interaction on the field as well. So if you haven't been to a webinar before, where does Rethink Carbon sort of sit on the kind of land management timeline, if you like, of a project? So we think we kind of tick the box and sort of achieve, you know, that kind of initial project scoping and planning of a project, whether that's woodland, peatlands, eeks, etc. We've got over kind of 100 different data sets sitting in the background of the platform, and we've integrated different kind of carbon calculators. So it's a really, really nice scenario and planning tool. The thing we've added recently, and what today is all about, is the ground truthing. So being able to kind of import data from out on site and managing that data in the platform. So that's a big update for us, and we're going to be touching on that a lot today. And we've also got some really nice features and being able to kind of share maps and with stakeholders, or kind of wider than that with communities, and looking at consultation pieces as well. So we're kind of those first three stages of a project, and we're also looking internally at kind of monitoring as well at the moment. So without further ado, I'm just going to kind of present the platform. So I'm going to jump across to the Rethink platform here. Let's put that to full screen mode. Okay, so like I said, we're going to really focus in on ground truth today, but for people again who haven't been to the webinar, we're just going to touch on about 5 minutes of some of the core features in the platform and some of the new features we've been putting in over the last couple of weeks. So this is a made-up site in Dumfries, Galloway in the south of Scotland. And you can see on the left-hand side here, we've got our nice kind of 3D interactive map. We've got various different kind of base maps behind this. So we're using Mapbox satellite imagery here, and we can go to different kind of backdrops in the top right corner. Exciting update for us is we've recently become Ordnance Survey partners. So we can now stream in Ordnance Survey base layers. So if I click across to OS Raster, we can now stream in data for the whole of Scotland or the whole of the UK. And you can see as we zoom right in, we can get down to kind of master map level data. So we're getting that really, really high accuracy data, which is good for kind of, you know, printing off maps and compliant plans. So this is internal to us at the moment. We will be pushing this out over the next couple of weeks to our customers. And just to kind of recap as well, this red line boundary, I have kind of manually drawn into the platform. You can upload your own boundary as a GIS file, whether that's a shapefile or a GeoJSON, hit analyze, and it takes about 30 seconds. And all of the analysis that we're seeing today is kind of presented back within 30 seconds. So I'll skip that step just to kind of save a little bit of time, but that's what we're going to be seeing shortly. So anywhere in the platform, we've got a whole list of data sets kind of embedded into the platform. We've got over 100 data sets kind of sitting in the background here, and we can start to turn on any kind of layers such as triple SIs. So we can go into here, start to look at this across the whole country. We can start to look at water layers, habitats, etc. And we can start to look at, again, across the whole of Scotland, this information. So I could look at the SEPA river classification layer to look at the different water courses in this area and the quality of those water courses. Another feature we've added recently is the ability to kind of mask your map. So at the moment, we can see this data kind of for the whole map area. And for project reports or documenting, it's quite nice to be able to kind of focus in on the actual project area. So in the top right corner, we've got this little kind of mask button, which we can press, and it adds a semi-transparent kind of mask around that to kind of focus our attention in on that particular area. Or I can click that again and it adds a complete kind of mask to really, really home in on that. We can make that full screen at any point, zoom in, pan around the map, and we can take a little screenshot with the button at the top right corner here, which creates a nice PNG file for you. So let's just turn that off for a second and take that back to how it was. Just touch on a few features from the last webinars before we go into GroundTruth. We've got a couple of features here called natural capital. So essentially it's taking that red line boundary and it's clipping it against 100 different kind of national data sets in the background. So we can start to see here on the right hand side, we've got our woodland category, and then we've got national forest inventory, for example. So I can hover my mouse over conifer and I can start to see on the map now where that conifer is, or I could flick that off and go across to broadleaf and start to see that loading on the map. So I can very, very quickly see I've got 153.7 hectares of broadleaf woodland, and across the whole project area, I've got 1,565 hectares of national forest inventory data. We can look at this in this kind of dashboard view, but we can also go across to the attribute view here to look at that table of information to get more data about that particular layer. I can also combine that with other data sets. If I want to look at broadleaf alongside soils, I can flick across to soils, and let's look at where the kind of the peaty soils are on the map. So I can click that on, and now we can start to look at those two data sets kind of alongside each other. It's a really, really powerful way of visualizing this data, bringing it together, and I can look at this in full screen mode as well. We'll just turn those off for a second. And another recent update we've put in is the ability to download this as a report. So that spits all that data out of Rethink Carbon into a Word document to get a nice map screenshot, a nice table of analysis. And we've also added the feature to download this as a CSV file. So you get all of that analysis into a nice CSV file that you can do all your analysis and kind of statistics on from there as well. So we've been through some of these layers in previous webinars, but we've got lots and lots of things in here, from wind speed data, looking at kind of wind speeds across the landscape. We've got community data in here, so we can start to look at where open spaces or core paths, or even kind of Scottish index multiple deprivation, so understanding the makeup of the local community and whether the kind of the income, deprivation scores, education, etc. in here as well. We also had our own analysis, so looking at a terrain model for the whole of Scotland. We can start to add additional layers such as slope analysis. So I can click on to slope. I can go across to water. And I can start to look at the flow of the water across the landscape. So where is that water likely to flow? And a whole load of other data sets, habitats, deer density counts as well, things like that. So lots and lots of data in there. Touching on funding very quickly, we've got integrated kind of grants and funding opportunities for your project area. So particularly looking at agri-environmental climate schemes, we can start to look at things like grassland areas. So this is water margins and grassland fields. So I can click that on, and I can start to see these could be potential areas for looking at this grant and working at potentially how much income we could make through that particular option. You can also click the little symbol here to find out more information about that scheme, and that links through to the website here as well. In regards to forestry, we've also got forestry grant scheme target areas integrated into the platform. So you can start to see where there could be benefits for riparian corridors. And again, you can click on this to see the different payment rates for different species mixes. And we also do our own analysis across the whole of Scotland to look at what species suitability might be suitable for certain areas, excluding areas of prime agricultural land and things like peatland, and leaving those pockets of areas for woodland creation. So final thing before we sort of move on to GroundTruth, what today is all about, is we've also got this idea of workspaces. So this is where you can plan future scenarios on your land. So we could create a new workspace at the top here, and I could call this Land Use Plan 2024. And this is a space that we can create lots of different options, whether it's woodland, peatland restoration, agri-environmental climate schemes, wetlands, all this sort of information. And we can start to compare scenarios and what that might look like in terms of the environment and the financial impact. So if I said I've done my analysis, I'm looking at planting some woodlands at the south end of the site here. I can go to my tool in the top left corner. I can click on my woodland template, go in, draw my very rough kind of parcel of land here, choose my type of woodland that I want to create, which could be broadleaf, depending on how it started, and it runs that against the integrated woodland carbon code calculator. And very quickly, we can see this project would sequester 1.5 thousand tons of carbon. Potential income could be around 25,000. And we can start to tie in tools like the ecological site classification tool from Forest Research, which recommends what trees might be suitable for this particular location. And we can change the setup of soil management, wetness, drainage, etc. in here to tweak those results. And we can also change all of our tree inputs in here, price per ton, etc., to kind of tweak these options as well. So you can do woodlands, you can do peatlands, you can create kind of custom options in here. So if we're thinking about creating a wetland creation over here as well, we can draw that onto the map, give it a name, give it a description, etc. And we've also tied in templates for different habitat conditions and types in here. So that can be useful for aggregating kind of analysis on that as well. So you'll see when I go back to my workspace overview, we get an overview of this project, which tallies up and aggregates all the total revenue for this project, the total carbon, and it gives us a space to kind of see exactly what's going on with this particular project. We can share this project, so we can share that with the team, stakeholders, or even community consultation. And Mark's going to touch on that shortly in his part of the webinar. So that's a little bit of an insight into workspaces. And now we're going to touch on GroundTruth, and the new feature in the platform. So if we go into GroundTruth, this is a space to upload all different types of document and files into the platform. So we can import things like PDFs, Word documents, CSV files. It can do things like shapefiles, GeoJSONs, georeferenced images, etc. So it's a really nice place to store all of your kind of nature-based or land management data and being able to evidence that kind of information over time. So I'm going to kick off with a couple of survey files to kind of show you how this could work. So if we jump into the survey section here, we can see I've already got one kind of habitat survey loaded into the platform. But on my computer, I've got a list of kind of different files I'm going to import. So I'm just going to drop in a bird survey. So I'm just going to drop that into here. That starts uploading in the bottom right corner, takes a couple of seconds to come in, and we can see that's now loaded into the platform. So as long as you've got a CSV with a lat long or an easting northings, or it's a shapefile or a GeoJSON, you can just drop that in and it comes in straight away. We can press the eye here and we can start to see those points popping up on the map. As I hover my mouse over a point, you can start to see what kind of species that is. And you can see at the moment, it doesn't look great. It's kind of this black kind of default points. So we can style this based on the data. So again, if I go across to my kind of 3 dots here, I can change the styling of that particular layer, and I can change the base color to be green, purple, red, whatever, or I can use my palette option here. So by clicking that, I can pick a column in that database or layer, if you like, to style the map. So if I go for symbol, which is my species option, and I pick a style option, again, there's different kind of stylings available here, press save, and you'll now see it's coloring those points according to that particular column. So you can see it's created a little legend for us. We can put that into full screen mode. We can start to look at all those kind of bird survey results across the landscape. I could change my base map. I could put a little mask on to draw our attention into that a bit more. A really powerful way of starting to kind of visualize this data across the project. So this is a very kind of similar process for doing lots of different types of files. So I could do a very quick example of peat depths. So again, I could drop that in. I could drop in my peat drains from a survey I did as well. We'll start to see those coming in. So my peat depth layer, let's just put that back to satellite mode. Let's look at our peat depths. So again, it comes in as a kind of a flat styling, but again, I could change the style. We could put that to peat depth. Let's put a kind of a gradual styling on that to give it a bit more kind of a range of color. And again, you can see it gives us a nice legend demonstrating the darker the color, the deeper that peat depth is. It's just a fantastic way of visualizing this data all in one place. And similarly, we've got things around peat drains. So we start to look at that data. And you can see we've got an attribute in there for the kind of type of restoration. So again, I could go into there, change the type to restoration. And we should start to see that coming in as different colors now. Okay. And the really nice thing as well is you can kind of categorize these options. So against each kind of type of layer, I could say, look, this is a type peat. This is a type wildlife or ecology kind of survey. And what this means is I can start to, let's just refresh that. What this means is I can essentially start to kind of filter my data. So if I make this peat as well, So you can start to see once we have kind of 10, 20, 30 layers in the platform, being able to kind of filter this information is really important. So I can go into here and I can filter that by peatland just to see those kind of 2 layers. You can also see we've got a date associated to these, which you'll be able to kind of adjust for the date this survey was carried out. And this will again allow you to kind of see data over time. So what happened in 2021, 2022, is a really powerful way of seeing kind of evidence data over time in the platform. So that's very much kind of around GIS files and mapping files. We've also got the ability to go out on site and take photos from, could just be a standard kind of iPhone or Android phone. And generally, as long as you've got location turned on your phone, those photos are recorded with location information. So again, what I can do is go into my image section here, or just open that for a second. And on my other screen, I've got a couple of images that I've taken on site. So I'm just going to drop in 3 photos. Just drop those into here, photo 1, 2, and 3. Again, that just takes a couple of seconds to upload into the platform. You should start to see them kind of coming into images. Give that a couple of seconds to load up. And essentially what that will do is it'll pin those on the map in the location it was taken from. So I can now go into images. I can click on these to see my kind of photo gallery. Let's give that a second. Loading up. Let's just go across the gallery here. But now you can see my 3 photos that I've imported, and those have all come in with their geotagged information, exactly where those photos were taken. And you can see as I hover my mouse, I can see exactly where those were taken. So it's a really, really powerful way of collecting data from the ground, evidencing it kind of over time and understanding exactly where that was taken. And we're talking to a lot of people and customers at the moment about kind of static imagery over time. So having a post or a particular location you go back to year on year, and be able to kind of show that evidence year on year to show the change of rewilding or nature restoration at that particular site. Going back again, we can also do extra things like PDFs. So I've got a couple of examples in here for PDFs that I've uploaded into the platform. So we can just press the I to kind of view this. So again, we've got all that kind of data sitting in one place. And we can also add links to the platform. So if we want to link through to a particular website or location. So by bringing all your data into GroundTruth, obviously this is one area to look at that data, but this data can now be accessed anywhere throughout the platform. So if I go back to my dashboard or my workspace, looking at my woodland project, you'll now see when I go to my sources button at the bottom left, if I were to turn on my SSI layer, for example, you can now see at the top here, I've got system layers, which are the public data sets, as well as my layers. So I can now click onto here, I can put my peak depth on, I can put my bird survey on, I can start to kind of turn on my GroundTruth photos. So you can start to see all of this kind of data on top of each other, and you can start to see how it kind of interacts and how changes on the land can affect other things going on as part of your projects. So it's a really, really powerful way of collating this data and visualizing it and be able to share this with anyone in your team or wider stakeholders. So I think I've touched on most things there. We're also looking as a next step as kind of bringing in drone imagery and having that as a kind of an overlay onto your base map. So that will be coming soon to the platform. But without further ado, I think I've covered most things there, and I'm going to pass over to Mark. So rather than just seeing this as kind of a desktop exercise, we're going to go live to the field now. I'm going to pass over to Mark. So I'll stop presenting and hand over to Mark. Sorry, Mark, you're on mute at the moment.
There's always one, isn't there? Okay. Can you see that okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
Fantastic. Right, okay, so we're going to do something a little bit different. Today I'm going to be playing the role of manager of a 350 hectare Highland estate up by Aviemore. Actually, let's just call it the owner. Why not? I actually live in a little house just to the north of Aviemore that I'm going to call the estate lodge for now. I can dream kind of. Okay, so what I've got on my screen is I've got a CSV file here that I've uploaded into Google Sheets, or it could be Excel. And it's a CSV of a biodiversity survey that was conducted earlier on my fictional estate. And I want to show you how easy and simple it is to import this data into the platform. Okay, so it's a simple CSV. The columns could be whatever you want. If it's got a lat long, or latitude, longitude, or an XY, NGR, anything like that, the system will recognize it and it will treat it as a geospatial file in the platform. So I've got this data here, and it's got various biodiversity studies in here. So what I'll do is I'll just download it as a CSV. Okay, and we'll just save it in there. Right, and that's downloaded my CSV. I'll pop back into the platform and I'll pop to the ground truthing. So what I'll do is I'll just drag that CSV from that folder I've got, which is here, somewhere. Big pardon. And drop it onto my, oops, just keep opening it, so just give me a second. I might have to browse for it. It's just opening each time I do it. So just bear with me a little second here. Oh, here we go. Okay, so it's just uploaded my survey, so let's have a look at it. You can see I've got a new survey just popped into the top of my list here. I can turn it on, and I can see my biodiversity survey round about Aviemore, Wednesday. Of course, I should have already shown you already, you can style your survey, so let's style it a little bit here. I'll choose a palette, and I'll style based on the vernacular name. Let's give it something quite wild, like neon or something like that. Okay, so this has got a survey that I've just imported from a simple CSV. It can be your own data, it doesn't matter what it is. And it's automatically built a legend for me, and you can see all the different species that have been monitored on this site. I actually prefer to just put this in dark mode, it just makes it stand out a little bit further. It can be really interesting when you look at this data and you mix it with other data sets. For instance, you know, some of the stuff that Freddie showed you is really interesting. But if I mix in things like the wetland inventory, it can be quite nice. And maybe I can mix in things like community core paths. So you get to see a little bit of an idea of mixing your own survey data and with established data sets. It can be really nice, actually. You can play with this for hours, but I won't, kind of get limited time. But you can turn on things like National Woodland Survey of Scotland, which can be quite interesting, or the Ancient Woodland Inventory. And looking at all of this data on full screen on this kind of mode can be quite incredible. You can just hit play and play that. You can see they've got the entire Scotland streaming in here. And it can be really interesting. And at any point, you can just grab the camera, click on it, and you can get a screenshot and use it later on. We'll just back out that a little bit. Okay, so back to here. So yeah, so that's one thing. This is very good, but it's all historical data. So it's all data that either you've looked at before or you've done a survey before. But what happens if you want to capture some data live in the field? Now, that's what I'm going to try just now. And I'm sure you're all aware this usually goes really well when we do a live demo of this kind of thing in the field. So let's give it a go anyway. Now, so what I have to do for this is I have to share my project. So I'll pop back into the workspaces here. You can see my project here, my 3 different parcels I've got set up with this estate. And I'm sharing a woodland survey. And I also want to be to allow anyone who wants to contribute to this project, so community groups or whoever it is, it could be your own managers, it could be anything at all, your own surveyors. I want them to be able to upload photos as well. You see, I've turned on sharing, and I can just copy that link as I did earlier, and I can send it to someone to complete a survey for me. So out in the field, we've actually got Zoe just now. Now, Zoe, can you hear me? Oh, you're on mute, Zoe. No, you're still on mute.
Finally, I managed how to unmute myself on my phone.
That's great. Thanks, Zoe. Now, do you just want to give us a brief overview of your surroundings?
Sure, yep. So I'm just north of Aviemore in the Kilgrounds National Park. I'm standing in a little bit of birch woodland, which is sandwiched between the Strathspey Steam Railway and the Spey Valley Golf Course and the River Spey.
Oh, it's a perfect setting for the demo, Zoe. Now, can you access the public engagement link that I sent you earlier?
Yeah, sure. I'm just going to share my screen so that you can see what I'm seeing on my phone. I haven't got permissions to share my screen. Can I get them, please?
I'll sort that out.
Thank you, Tessa.
It's not raining, Zoe, is it?
Not yet.
Should we do the QR code, share the QR code with everyone whilst we're changing the settings for Zoe?
Great.
Yeah, great. So while we get this sorted with Zoe, if you all want to have a go yourselves, then you can. So if you see the QR code on the screen at the moment, then if you point your mobile at it or your phone and go to the link, you will see the experience of being able to upload a photo or give some feedback to the survey. So if you are confident about this and you're happy to share an image, pot plant by your desk, whatever you fancy, your mug, etc., then you can upload it there, and we have a live demo of you showing how easy it is, and you can test it for yourselves. So if we can zoom in on the QR code again, and I will take a very bad selfie, and we can show that as well, just so that we can show that it works. And Mark will keep sharing it there. So let me upload a photo here. Okay, so that is mine uploading now. Oh, we've got some images coming in. Oh, was that one someone preloaded earlier? Because if someone's on a webinar with that view, that is impressive stuff. So there you go. So there's some images that have come in. So someone's keyboard, thank you. That's my cheesy selfie. Oh, a dog, an animal. As everyone else in the Rethink team knows, I'm not the best at pet identification. Oh, there's some more images coming in. Thank you, everyone. And how are we getting on with being able to share Zoe's screen? Are we having a problem here?
Yeah, I can't get my screen to share. I can go ahead and take some photos though. So
let's take some photos. Hopefully there's a few people on the call who have done this for themselves, so you know how the interface works. So or in fact, oh, here we go. Is this you, Mark, showing what the interface is like on the desktop?
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to just take a couple of photos and upload them while I'm out in the woodland.
Brilliant. So you can see everyone else that for anyone that has the link, you can either upload a photo or give feedback. And in terms of feedback, that's through a survey platform. So you have full control in terms of what questions you want to ask. And coming up next month in September, we are going to have another webinar that will actually talk about our community engagement tools. So that kind of survey feature ability to be able to analyze and look at how that connects with the map will be all stuff we'll be talking about next time. So this is a bit of a sneak preview into some of that functionality. And look at that, tons of photos coming in now. Thank you, Zoe. There we go. Yes, that looks like one of Zoe's, doesn't it, Mark?
I think it's one of Zoe's. She's found some dead in here.
Yeah, so I've taken a picture of some fallen deadwood and a picture of a little bit of regen, birch regen. Do you want me to go ahead and fill in the little survey?
Yeah, Zoe, would you mind?
Mark, maybe you can show it on the screen so people can see what I'm filling in.
Okay, so I've got a deadwood assessment, Zoe.
Okay, so I'm just looking at the woodland here. Obviously, this is a very basic woodland survey. There's a little bit of fallen deadwood, not very much standing, so I'm going to give it quite a low score. I'll give it a 1.
And then you've got the grazing impact evaluation.
Yeah, so this bit of woodland I know because my dogs chase them occasionally. It's full of roe deer, and so there's lots of grazing pressure. So I'm going to say it's quite high. There's not a lot of regen here.
Fantastic. Then you've got the other observations, Zoe, just free-form text.
Okay, I'll just type a few words and submit it.
Right, we'll pop back and see if we can get that coming in. Hey, we just got one in. Nice birch woodland, Zoe, was that you?
That was me.
Okay, thanks for that, Zoe. So you can see how quick and easy it is to get basic data collection into the software. Zoe, any further final thoughts?
I need to learn how to share my screen, and autumn has definitely arrived in the Highlands because it's not that warm.
Thanks so much for that, Zoe. Thanks for braving the cold for us there. Now, if I pop back into my my estate here, I should be able to bring in some of the photos that came through there. You can see the ones that Zoe's taken over here. And I can see that's the sapling that she photographed earlier as well. Actually, let's just pop out and see if there's any other geolocated photos that's been added to the map. Maybe a little bit easier if I go in dark mode. You can see there is. So you can see it's taken the EXIF data that's part of your photo and it's popping it onto the map. It's a really decent way of getting some data in here. Nice and easy, really quick. Yeah, some really interesting photos. Strange bunch. And yeah, I hope you've enjoyed that little presentation and live demo. Philip, back over to you.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you very much, Mark. Thank you very much, Freddie. I have no idea who put in the image with the eggs on a roof of a car.